So we are all really reflecting today on a day that was at first defined solely by pain and by enormous fear in this country. But it's worthwhile to take a moment to look at what has changed since then and what has stayed with us from that experience. Pastor Max Lucado, dubbed as America's Pastor by Reader's Digest, is the author of You Will Get Through This, Hope and Help for Your Turbulent Time. And that's a good message today.
Message, yeah.
I mean, when you look at what we've been through, and you list in your piece that you wrote, you look at Newtown, you look at 9/11, you look at Hurricane Sandy and Katrina. You know, we've been really put through the ringer, and I think a lot of questions have been raised about faith and about God. But have we lost that connection over the last 12 years that we might have had that day in some ways?
Something happened to us on 9/11. It's almost like the soul of the country was wounded. There was a violation of an innocence that had never happened to us before. You know, as Americans, we're so self-sufficient, and we take such pride in protecting ourselves. And that day we were invaded, we were attacked. And ever since that day, whenever we have these terrible reminders, whether it be in a Denver movie theater or the Boston bombing or the elementary school in Connecticut, it's like that sore is opened again, and there's a wound in our spirit. There's a nervousness and an anxiety about our country.
That's so true. I think that is so true, that there has been a nervousness and an anxiety that was brought to us that day. And I remember thinking that day, as we all did, nothing's ever going to be the same again. You could feel it, having that kind of attack on our soil, something we never dreamed could happen here. It rocked us.
It did, didn't it?
But my question is, have we gotten away from it, you know, in terms of the religious observance and the spiritual side of it that really did bring a lot of people together in those days after?
We are a very spiritual people. And one of the phenomena of 9/11, remember how the churches filled?
Yes.
I mean, just spontaneously, how the churches filled all over the country, but especially here in New York. I was in New York just a few days later, actually just doing a book signing in a Barnes & Noble. And I offered to pray and have a short message, and I mean, the place filled up. It just filled up. I think that just beneath the surface of all of us is an awareness that we need God's presence to get us through tough times. All of us have had enough experience with government or with leaders or with authorities to know they can only do so much. And beneath the surface is this hunger to connect with our divine origin, and we need God's help to get us through this. And so what happened in 9/11 is that we all came out. We all acknowledged, boy, we need God's help to get us through this. In good times, we suppress it and we pretend, oh, we can handle this ourselves. But right beneath the surface, every single one of us has this desire to connect with God and to find a strength.
But I don't know if you did that signing, you know, I mean, you're very popular, so you might have people flooding in and praying with you still, but that, you can't get that back, and you don't want to get it back in many ways, because it was such a raw, horrible feeling for everybody. But, you know, what do you tell children in terms of who, you know, are far away from this experience? My kids were very, very young when this happened. What do you tell them on this day?
Well, and that's important to do, because we not only have our national 9/11, but we have our personal 9/11s. You know, we have our personal tragedies. And it's important to equip our children as well as we equip ourselves for a tragedy before the tragedy happens. I think the real reoccurring message of the Bible is that God can get us through tough times. The key is we need to link ourselves with Him through prayer, through reflection on His Scripture, through connection with His people, and letting Him guide us through tough times. The mistake is giving in to despair. The mistake is saying there's no solution to my problem, no end to my problem, and that's when we get in a position that we make mistakes that even make the problem worse.
So you have to let go and let God.
Exactly.
As they say, right?
Exactly. Let's defy despair, let's lean into God, and let's trust Him to get us through these tough times.
Move away from despair. Very good advice for everybody. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you today. Thanks for coming in.